Welcome back, everybody. So today is the official start of our rear air suspension setup. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to make our own lower control arm strut rods, which are essentially going to be our lower airbag mount. What I'm going to show you here on the car, my kind of rough idea of what I'm going to do as far as where the air spring is going to be located on the car, and then we're going to have the whole lower strut rod like this. We're going to make this out of square stock with weld-on polyurethane bushings, and we'll have our mount on the lower end of this thing here, and then the top mount will actually bolt on into the car. So we're going to take a look at that. I'm going to show you my idea for that, and then we're going to start making these up today. And once we have these done, and then we'll be able to locate our lower mount, and then we'll start working on our top mount too. But we're just going to get ahead and start cutting some metal and get these made. Okay, so here we have the rear strut rod here, and obviously there's the half shaft, and then this is the knuckle. So the plan is to mount this right in here like this. So we are going to make a bracket that comes right off of our new strut rod here, and then we're going to make another top mount that bolts right to the differential cross member right here. There's a cross bolt there, and we're going to mount that too on top, and that'll be our top mount for the air spring. And I do have my tie rod and for the toe turned upside down for my coilovers, but I'm going to turn that back around to the factory location just for clearance purposes. And it definitely gives me enough room in here. It's pretty close to the half shaft, but if any of you guys are running super low coilovers, you'll know how close that spring rides on the other side to the half shaft. I mean, I've actually had to turn my spring just enough so it doesn't actually rub on it. So I mean, it can be pretty close in there. We should have plenty of room in here. So that's the plan as of right now. So we're gonna just go ahead and start making these. Okay, so I made a custom jig out of wood here using the factory strut rod here. So this is actually not straight. You can kind of see it better from the bottom. So I used this one side just a little bit higher than the other to make up for the difference. So I did all the center lines here, and what I'm going to be using is these weld-on polyurethane bushings here. So I do have a set already kind of clamped in place here, and I'm going to take some measurements here. Also too, because this is so thin here with a bushing, it kind of goes inside that, which is kind of an issue. I normally like to have a nice fish mouth on the tubing here so you can weld all the way around it, but this being so thin and the way the bushings are, it has to be a certain width to fit into the factory knuckle and into the other side by the diff. So I was kind of limited there. So what my solution is I'm going to cap each one of these ends here and then weld this on here to space it out. And then I'm going to build gussets on either side for extra strength, since now this is actually going to be supporting the weight of the car. So I'm going to go ahead and start trimming this up. All right, so I got this piece cut and fit in here, and I just got these little caps in here, the little spacers tacked in place, but I'm just gonna show you how I have that fitted in there. And now this is actually like a straight shot, so you can technically use the left and the right on either side. So now I'm gonna just go ahead and weld these caps up in here and then bring it back on and tack weld these on there, and then double check it, and then we'll weld all that up. Alright, so I got this all welded up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting up some thick gussets to go from here all the way down to here, and we're going to reinforce this on either side here just to give that area some extra strength. As you can see, it kind of sticking out a little bit there, but that just gives us the clearance to fit actually into the knuckle and into the other side and have the bushing sit in there the way it is. It's kind of a thin bushing setup on that car, so it'd be nice if it was a little wider, that we really get a nice fish mouth on there, but this is the kind of only option we have with this size. So I'm gonna just cut some pieces now and get this reinforced. All right, so I have all my gussets cut here that I'm gonna use here. What I'm gonna do is like this here on each end, front and back. But before I do that, I am going to fit it in the car just to make sure everything's right and everything lines up before I finally weld everything in there. So I did throw the poly bushings in on either end. So we're just going to hang it in the car real quick. All right, as you can see, I got it in there. Fits really well. I did end up having to sand down each end here of this outer poly bushing here. It was just a little tight, but pretty close. So I just took a little off each end on the belt sander, and that slid right in there. So now I'm confident that we can just go ahead and weld those gussets up now. All right, so I just finished up with the driver's side one. I just got done checking that on the car as well. So everything fits and lines up nicely. So now I'm going to add the gussets on here and fully weld everything, and then we'll be done with our first step. All right, I just finished welding the gussets on here. You can see that it's extra beefy. I went a little overboard, but better safe than sorry. So that's that. So I got the bushings in here, and we're gonna go hang these back on the car and then go from there. All right, so that's it for today's video. So it's coming along pretty nice. We're off to a pretty good start with this rear. So if you enjoyed the video, press like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.